Great job. Where is it? Before we start the Q&A, I know that Richard and his wife just had a baby, so let's welcome them. Love in the house as well. Okay, it's up to you guys now. Fans, let's hear some questions.
'Twas a real wolf. It was a real effing timber wolf. That bastard was this big. In the States, if you use any kind of animals, there's a few animal handlers, I don't know what the heck they're called. But this one guy in Idaho has a trained buffalo, trained squirrels, ducks, in his bathroom. You walk in and he goes, "Don't touch the squirrel." I'm like, what the hell? Don't touch the squirrel? You walk in the bathroom, there's a squirrel in the cage. You're like, there's a fucking squirrel in the cage in the bathroom. And he looks at you like, and you're like, don't touch the squirrel. Anyways, he has tons of trained animals. And his specialty is wolves. And when you drive up, a couple miles away, you have it's a stank. You smell it. And you're like, what the hell? And as you approach, it gets smellier and smellier. And when you pull up, there's tons of kennels of wolves pacing back and forth in cages. And I was like, holy shit. So we get there, and I asked him, I said, so are these the wolves we're going to work with? You? Something a little bigger. I'm like, bigger? He goes, this is your typical Arizona wolf. We're going to work with a timber wolf. I'm like, timber wolf? And he opens up the back of this Chevy, and these wolves that are normally like this big, opens up the back, there's one this big. And as soon as that someone's like, ah! Blue eyes, and it's pacing back and forth, just staring at me. And he just opens up the gate and lets out, and I'm standing there like, and he goes, don't show fear, and I'm like, I can't! It's just all around me, sniffing me, and he's like, he has this thing, it's called pup-pup. That's what he says, pup-pup, pup-pup. And so I'm like, pup-pup, trying to get this wolf away from me. And he has him trained though. He says, if they come to you, wolves in the wild, so he was saying, they'll approach something, and if you take a step back and show that you're scared or submissive to the wolf, it knows it has power over you, brain power. But if it comes towards you, to take a step towards it, and it will know, oh, you're not scared of me. So he gave this whole lecture, how to handle the wolves. I forgot everything once the wolf came out. I was like, ah! Anyways, so yeah, real wolf, big, hairy, stinky, and it was really like eating chunks of meat by my face. Like it's not trained, sit, lay down, roll over, but he just has a pouch of meat and he just throws it in different directions and like puts meat in his mouth and pulls it away to get it to snarl. And yeah, so I'm laying there in the snow, minus, I don't know, and he's throwing chunks of meat by me. And they're like, Cody, you're dead. But you have to play dead, like eyes still open, like, and this wolf is like, and a couple times it's like, and they're like, Cody, you're dead. And I'm like, it's a fucking timber wolf on my face. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, it was real.
Great, awesome. Any other questions? Come on. How much of the time was done actually out there, and how much was done on set?
For Craters of the Moon, we were out there. We were supposed to be out there for 18 days, and we shot for 12. Okay. So we filmed the whole film in 12 days. We rehearsed the first 4 days, And as for rehearsal, Jesse, the director and the writer, took us out in his Mustang. We drove out to the spot where we shot and just left us out there for like 8-9 hours with nothing. And me, knowing, they're just gonna leave some brought toilet paper in her pocket. I was prepared, she wasn't. And I bullshitted her. I told Brita, who plays my wife, I was like, you know Jesse's leaving us out here for 2 days, right? She's like, no, it's not. I'm like, yeah. She's like, no, it's not. I was like, yeah, he told me he was. I didn't want to tell you until we got out here, but he left us out here for 2 days. She's like, fuck you. I was like, no, we're out here for 2 days. Get used to it. Walking around the car, playing it off. She's like, you kidding me? You're kidding me? Is that why you took our cell phones? And I was like, yeah, I told you, we're out here 2 days. Nothing. And who's got the toilet paper? And we were just joking around for like hours. And she's like, are you serious? He really left us out here. I was like, yeah. How many times I gotta tell you? We're out here. 2 days. Get used to it. And she's just, you're kidding me. And then we start joking around, like, so anyway, what movies you been in? Chat back and forth. She's like, really? We're out here. I'm like, I'm not going to tell you again. We're out here 2 days. Get used to it. And finally he pulls up, and we really got into an argument before that. She's like, screw you! We're not out here! Man! I was like, I don't care! Because in my mind I knew it was just bullshit. And I'm like, anyways, he came out and saved us, and yeah, 12 days we shot. And we filmed, we broke every rule in the book. We shot out there illegally at Craters of the Moon Monument. Our producer told us, yeah, we got permits and everything. He lied.
This is a national park, isn't it?
Yeah. We were filming out there illegally. People were even passing us like, what are y'all doing out here? Just filming, we got permits. And we're like, okay, take care.
Did you actually have a fire out there?
Yeah. Everything was legit. Anyways, but yeah, 12 days of filming, and it was really freaking cold.
Any other questions out there? Right there.
Mr. Wright, I'm just wondering, when you're doing the scene with the car and your wife or whatever, did you get to keep the car?
No, I didn't get to keep the car. That's Jesse, the director's car.
Well, you better get it back.
I was actually, we got to drive around in it. No power steering. One-wheel drive. One-wheel drive. And we legitimately got stuck out there and had to pull it out with a Subaru. Like, we just, and after like day 5 of shooting, it got stuck. We were like, just leave it out here. So we ended up just leaving it out there the whole time.
Just answer my question.
No, I didn't get to keep the car. It's not my car. Go ahead.
So this is the first screening of your film. Is it going to be screened anywhere else? Or do you guys have any distribution where anybody else can see it?
We don't have distribution. This is the first screening in Canada. It's filmed, I mean, it was shown around the States. Actually, it premiered in the States for the very first time last winter, and we had problems with finances. The director and the executive producer were dating. They broke up. She pulled her money out. We were screwed. So we did a Kickstarter. Didn't raise enough money. All the money was returned. We were like, all right, great. So movies, shit. We don't get a movie made. And they put in enough hours unpaid to get a cheap version made, and Meryl Streep saw it and gave us $10,000 to finish it. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, it's shown at a couple festivals in the States. This is the first time it's being shown in Canada, but we don't have distribution. We have no clue where it's going to go, other than other film festivals
Well, we feel proud that we're the first showing it. Go ahead.
Is this movie based on real events?
Is this movie based on real events?
I don't know if it's based on true events. Based on true events in my life, I've been on road trips with crazy ex-girlfriends. On their lives, I'm not sure. But everywhere we shot, where we stayed, everything was right around Jesse's hometown in Blackfoot, Idaho. This is actually a thesis film project because he was graduating from Columbia University, so that's why we had no funding for it. And he got in touch with Jacob Brunfeld, the producer. He was a friend of mine from Idaho, and Jacob got in touch with me and said, hey, we have a film for you. If you want it, you have to audition. And I was like, well, I'm in Washington, so how am I supposed to get there to audition? So I auditioned via Skype on the internet, and so did Brita and a few other girls. And we did like a 5-way Skype audition with each other. And that's how I got cast. So it was all a virtual affair until we met each other. And that's why we ended up meeting each other for the first time once we got to set and started rehearsing. And I did not like Brita at all. Like, she played her part. She showed up in character, and I hated her guts.
Okay, we have a question at the back there in the red hat.
How did you get in shape for Mohawk midnight running?
Not running, hence the gut and the fur. Similar things to both films. Mohawk Midnight Runners, furry and friendly. Critters of the Moon, furry, not friendly. But I didn't do anything to get. I just ate. That's why I had a fat get running around the 6 Stations Reserve. And
I think there's a girl out there with a sign that says, "Marry me, Cody." She saw that Mohawk Midnight Runners. Speaking of the show, it's a short duration film, and the inspiration behind it, was it a real inspiration behind that film? How long did it actually take to do the film itself?
I just wanted to say a huge messy show to all of you for coming out tonight, and I want to say a huge messy show to Dreamspeakers for hosting us. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here this evening, and I just want to acknowledge the traditional keepers of this land. I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be here with Cody. I have great respect for him and his mom, his family, and you know, life is so funny, and life can be tough sometimes. Growing up in Fort Smith, Northwest Territories, we used to have a prince in our community, and his name was Paul Grundy, and he was our first lawyer, perfect GPA, beautiful man, friend of the family, master kayaker. He was fearless, and he was the toast of our community. And what we didn't know was that he struggled with depression and mental illness, and he was hospitalized several times for crippling depression. I had no idea. And I was away at university when we heard that he took his own life. And I'm 42 now, and you know, Fort Smith is a beautiful town. My little community is the Métis capital of the Northwest Territory. We're officially quadrilingual. There's Bush Cree, Slavey, Dene. You know, it's such a beautiful little town, and there are 3 times that our community has wept together, and that's one of them, was when we lost Paul Grundy. And we miss him to this day. And I sat down and I wrote a little short story called Dogwood Midnight Runners. I wanted to honor him. And you know, when you grow up in a small community, we're taught, you know, when somebody takes their own life, you know, don't talk about them anymore. And I've always fought that. I fought that so hard my whole life. And he's a father, and he's a son, and he's a friend. And he was one of our all-time heroes. He'll always be one of our heroes. He's deeply missed. And so Dogwood Midnight Runners was the first short story I ever wrote that was situated in my little community, because I wanted us to talk about suicide. I wanted us to talk about mental illness. And I wanted to talk about what happens when we lose our friends and our family far too soon. So the little short story came out, and it's the toughest short story I've ever had to write, and it's the one short story when I'm home. People ask me to read, and when I do read it, half the room will get up and leave. It's still too hard to believe that Paul's gone. So we shot a little movie called The Lesser Blessed. It took us 7 years to make, and we're really proud of the movie. And our dear friend Zoe, thank you. Our dear friend Zoe Hopkins, who I've known for probably 15 years, she was such a huge fan of The Lesser Blessed, and Dogger Midnight Runners was always her favorite short story. And one day we were talking, and I said, Zoe, I double Dogger dare you to make Dogger Midnight Runners into a movie. And she went, you can't do that to me, you know I can't back down from a dare. And I said, well, I double Dogger dare you to make the movie. Make the frickin' movie! And you're a filmmaker. So she says, okay, you know what, I'm gonna make the movie. So our budget was $110,000. We were supposed to shoot it in my hometown of Fort Smith. Our mayor, Janie Hobart, was gonna give us $10,000 out of her own pocket to get it made. So we had $80,000. Mayor Hobart was gonna give us 10, and we had a group that would promise us $20,000, and it was literally the checks in the mail story, and the check never arrived. So I was up in Pangatung in the Eastern Arctic with my wife, and I got an email saying, Richard, there's no money. These guys, they believed that there was $20,000 that was set aside for you. There's no money. And we can't shoot, we can't ask Mayor Hobart, for $10,000 without the other 20. So guess what? We can't shoot it in Fort Smith. And I was devastated. But Zoe wrote to me, she says, Richard, I can shoot this in 6 Nations. I can shoot this in my community for $80,000. I've got 4 guys that I want to see naked for 5 days straight, all lined up in my basement right now. Cody Lightning's one of them. And let me make the movie. And I said, well, if this is the only way we're going to make the movie, make the movie. And she said, the thing though is, rather than it be Dogger Midnight Runners, I want it to be Mohawk Midnight Runners. And I went, what do you mean? It's got to be Dogger Midnight Runners, blah, blah, blah. And she said, no, you've written a timeless story, and 6 Nations has just been devastated again by another suicide. Let me interpret your short story from the Mohawk perspective. Just trust me with this. $80,000, I can shoot it in 5 days. And I said, Zoe, I love you, make the movie. And that's really how the movie was made. So I just want to raise my hands with utmost respect to Cody Lightning and to all the other actors, to Zoe Hopkins, and to Big Star Productions for making a beautiful movie. But Craters of the Moon is brutal. I loved it. It was riveting. It was disgusting. I just wanted to go home and cuddle my wife and give thanks and our beautiful little boy. So I just give thanks to all of you for being here. It's late. I know you're tired. 80% of you have to go pee. I know that. And I'll leave it there. But Mussy Cho for listening.
Cody, you're right across the stage naked again.
Lady in the red.
I forgot to answer your question. So one of the things about Paul, the late Paul Grundy, was when he was with us, one of the things he loved to do was he loved to streak. So he'd have a couple of beers at the Buffalo Lounge in Fort Smith, and you could not keep that man's clothes on. He would go streaking, and he was so persuasive that he'd get all his little buddies to streak with him. And what was great was he was our town lawyer. And there's a very famous story I just heard of a new corporal that was patrolling the community of Fort Smith on a Friday night with one of the constables. And they were going down McDougall, and there were 3 little white bums running down the highway. So this corporal said, what's going on here? And he says, watch this, he says. So the guy, popped the cherries and put the sirens on, and these 3 naked white guys were pulled over. And he said, well, we're going to save this for Monday. But there's our town lawyer, there's our mayor, and there's our office manager, there's the chief of the Sovereign and First Nations. So there's 3 guys standing there, and they go, well, we can shake your hands, or we can continue cupping ourselves. And we'll leave it at that. So I just wanted to honor that one of the things that he loved to do when he was alive was streak, and to this day, they still streak in his honor. So that's where the streaking came from. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't answer that properly the first time.
Any other questions? What's up next for you, Cody? What are you doing now?
Right now, I am helping my mother with her film, trilogy on suicide and healing from transgenerational trauma from residential schools. I actually played a part. Today I acted, that's why I shaved my beard and funked up my hair, and acted as my uncle that I have never met, which is kind of a cool thing.
When is that coming out?
I do not know. My mom's sitting in the audience. She would know.
Regina?
I'm not sure.
No.
It'll be out the next episode.
Okay, we'll look forward to it.
So that's that, and that's it for now until the next project. I'm going to Washington next month to work with some youth and show my films and hang out with them on the Lumi Reservation in Washington. And they're opening a new skateboard park, and a friend invited me to be at the opening of that at the same time, which is kind of a cool thing. And yeah, just travel.
Lots of things.
Yeah.
You can check out the go skate. Street!
One thing about Mohawk Midnight Runners I know when I was cast is I think Zoe had John Proudstar in mind. He played Brutus, the big one, and I think she also had Doug in mind for Clarence, the other guy. And she asked around, who's a young native actor that wouldn't mind getting naked? I think she asked 10 people, and 10 out of 10 were like, Cody! Duh! And she called me, she's like, hey Codes, how are you? And I was like, hey Zoe, long time no hear. Hey, so I have a film, do you want to act in it? And I'm like, yes, without even knowing what it was about. I was like, what's it about? She goes, well, guys and suicide, and you're gonna be naked. I was like, and? She goes, that doesn't bug you? And I was like, I said, and? She's like, well, do you mind being naked on camera? And I said, no. She goes, full frontal? And I was like, tell me more. Running around the res naked. And also, at the end of the film, where all three of us are running down the block, we had all night shoots. And we're running, and the sun's coming up. People are coming out of their houses to get their paper. And this guy comes out, he's like, grabs his paper, and there's us three running naked. And he's just like, he just looks, stops, and then watches us run back. There's like nothing. And some of the neighbors were peeking out because where my place was, it was an apartment complex in the town site, and people were looking out, of course. And that German Shepherd, oh my goodness, what the hell, me and the dogs in the movies. That German Shepherd was supposed to be trained, was not trained. Only spoke German, or understood German. And really went for my nuts a couple times. I don't know, but yeah, 2 experiences with mutts.
Great. Anything else? Maybe you can lead us in a rendition of John James. Sing alive with Smith. Come on, let's hear you.
I won't sing that song ever again. I hate that song. But yeah, there was a lot in Craters that was just us, where they just let the camera roll, and we were just sitting in there, quiet, dead silence, doing nothing, not liking each other, smoking, not smoking, me taking smokes from her. But yeah, and then we were trying to figure out a song that we can get clearance to, and I was like, oh, that'd be so rad if we were like in the car, and I hate her guts, and I was like, achy breaky, and just rubbed it in her face with achy breaky heart, and they got it. We filmed it without even knowing that song was going to be in it, and they just put it in. And when they did, I had no clue it was going to be in there till the first screening, and I was the one guy in the audience that was like, yeah! Just hyped that he put it in there.
I love that look on your face when she's in the backseat crying and you're stuffing your face with peanuts. That's good. Any other questions? Well, let's thank these two guys for such a wonderful evening. And we look forward to your next celebration. Thank you, everyone, and have a great night.